Imagine the possibilities when you know multi-pilot parallel pen so much too, because calligraphy letters, if that's really, I'm just trying to.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Calligraphy Masters podcast. Another episode, another guest, another member of Calligraphy Masters again on the podcast. Lately, only members are on the podcast. This is not intentional. However, today's guest is someone who was in the crew some time ago. Then he wasn't, and now he's back in the crew. He does some amazing stuff. I think mostly focused on walls, murals, and stuff like this. I really wanted to talk with him and share his story with you guys. So welcome to the podcast, Shane Hus. How you doing, bro?
What up, guys? I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's good to finally have you because, I wanted to have you for some time. But let's start with some basic info about you, bro. Can you tell me how everything started with you and calligraphy and maybe letters in general? Like, I don't know, was it something that it's been always with you, or like at what point did everything started?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm 27 years old. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the United States, and now I live in Denver, Colorado. Both heavily winter areas. I like the winter, but Minnesota was a little too much for me, so moved to Denver. Honestly, the way I started with letters is I got into graffiti back in 2014. No, 2010. Sorry, 2010.
Okay.
And yeah, so I got pretty into that. I
Is
still
this,
do it pretty dedicatedly.
is this the reason you have a piece behind you?
This is actually uh yeah, this is Adam Fu. If you know who that is, he's a muralist in the United States. I'm in my studio space. This is like a shared meeting room.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I just thought it'd be best for this meeting. But yeah, he's a super talented muralist out in the United States. But yeah, I got super into graffiti. Really into painting freight trains and things like that. I traversed through that culture for a few years and found out I really had an affinity for letters. I loved the structure of them. I loved how much you could play with them. There's unlimited options to play with 26 letters. So, and I only know one language. So, I mean, imagine the possibilities when you know multiple languages, multiple alphabets, things like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I was always interested in Gothic lettering. I can't really remember, but throughout my life, I always noticed it. But in around 2014, 2015, I started practicing calligraphy. I was going through kind of a hard time, and it just helped me get out of that space, that mind state, and move forward in a more healthy manner, and
Is
have a goal to focus on.
is this the time when you discovered calligraphy, or you knew? I guess probably because you knew all your life. Because I don't know, in America, you calligraphy is more into the culture. Because, for example, I discovered calligraphy like a term and like a craft when I was 23. Before this, I didn't know that it even existed.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't. I mean, in middle school or kindergarten, we'd have handwriting classes, cursive, practicing cursive and stuff. I really loved that. So I really liked lettering. I guess I didn't really know back then that that was calligraphy per se. Um, and I didn't really know how deep of a craft it really was until I started getting into it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you could be doing this for your entire life and you might not even be able to scratch the surface of what's available and what you could learn. So yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a super cool culture that I started finding myself in around 2014, and I just got addicted to it, honestly. And yeah, I found calligraphy masters maybe, I don't know, 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
um
I think it was something like this as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've known you for a while. Yeah, I don't know. I got into that, and then I was in college at the time, and I was there for graphic design. I'm not a huge fan of being on the computer. I'm more like I like because of the graffiti background, I like being outside, creating full size compositions on walls and things like that. So I tried to figure out a way to move into more of a mural career, but
Mhm.
at first I needed to just get good at calligraphy and hone my skills and things like that. So
But
um,
do you remember how exactly you, I don't know, not discovered calligraphy, but how you started? Was there some specific calligrapher or some artist that you were watching and you were like, okay, I want to do this, or
I can't remember for sure. I know the first situation I wrote Gothic lettering was I was in a college dorm room with a lined notebook and a pink highlighter, and I don't know if I saw like an Instagram post or something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that," or what. But I remember once I did that, I started looking on YouTube for calligraphy stuff, and I found Tubzilla, who really inspired me. He's a Chicago-based calligrapher,
okay.
and then Theos one. He was the one that got me to get my Pilot Parallel pen from his video, and yeah, I mean, dude, what he did in that video is so crazy. I remember watching that. He had like
Dude,
every size.
I feel like this video is gonna, I don't know, it's a historical video, you know, like this video is actually how I found out about calligraphy, and I started because of this video. I've spoken with so many people who started because of this video, and seriously, I don't know,
So,
maybe Adam deserves a Oscar or something like this for
dude, for real, he inspired a whole generation, man.
it's true, man, it's true. This
Mhm.
is fucking insane.
Yeah, yeah, that was such a good video. It definitely inspired me. Like once I got my parallel pens, it was like game over from there. I was so addicted. They're so easy to use. Like while you're traveling or whatever, you can just pop them out whenever.
Yeah, there is, but at the same time, at least back then, when you watch this video and you're like, oh man, this is like, you think the pen is everything, and you think that when you get, at least that's what I thought, when
Yeah,
you
it's a
get the
good
pen,
point.
you'll be able to do the same stuff. But of course, the pen is super easy, like to
I
use. But
still can't do that stuff, dude.
come on, man,
That was
you do
yeah,
some super awesome work. But yeah,
thanks,
what
man.
what was from there on? Like, what happened? Are you like completely self-taught, or did you attended some classes? Did you use some books that helped you?
So completely self-taught, but I mean, like so many people have helped out throughout the way, giving me pointers and whatnot. But I never like had any formal training. I never went to any courses or anything for it. But I remember when the first time I was in calligraphy masters, you sent us a PDF of the calligraphy Bible, if you remember that. And
Did
hey,
I?
that yeah, yeah. So I remember I think we had like a kind of homework project where we had to write out a couple alphabets or something with
With
the
what?
lines that show the stroke marks and stuff. And yeah, I remember that was like honestly my like formal training, I'd say, because I was working a job as an art gallery attendant. So I was just at the front desk at this small little gallery that 10 people maybe visited a day. So I would just be practicing alphabets and scripts like nonstop at that job. I remember for like a couple years while I was in college. So that was that book. I tell people nowadays when they ask like, yo, is there any books like that helped you learn or anything? I just send them straight to the calligraphy Bible because honestly, it had so much information that I need to get a copy again. I just learned so much from that thing.
Yeah, I have this book lying right over there, and it's funny because I recommended this book to a lot of people, but obviously, not obviously, apparently, it's not the best book. Like there is a better one, but it jumped out of my mind right now. It's something to
Oh,
do.
no worries.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll send you. Not that you need it anymore, but yeah, if somebody asks you, you might. There's a better book. It's my
Okay,
point.
good to know.
And yeah, do you remember like in this beginning, what were the struggles that you have? Like what was difficult for you? Like was it like finding pens, or was it something specific with the learning alphabets?
I think the finding the pens wasn't too difficult for me because, like I said, once I found the Pilot Parallel pen, that it just fit me really well. I'd say the hardest part was, which I mean, it's with any craft, like believing in yourself, balancing growing up with, your other duties, work, etc. And like in Minnesota, I mean, there is a calligraphy guild that's been around for about 40 years, so that was pretty nice. But like calligraphy doesn't seem to be as big in the United States as in maybe Europe or
Really?
Russia. I guess that's what I think. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe that's totally inaccurate, but didn't seem to be much resources for me. I guess if that makes sense. Like once I found this calligraphy guild, it was nice. I got to learn things from you guys and them. But yeah, I'd say just the hardest part is just growing up and trying to believe in yourself because I knew this was something I wanted to do full time. When I was in college for graphic design, I found calligraphy and then withdrew from college because no one at my college or in Minnesota was qualified to teach calligraphy as a major. And so I could have taught myself while paying for college
Mm-hmm.
to make my own major, but it just made more sense to withdraw, use the graphic design skills I learned in college, and then apply them to my own studies of calligraphy moving forward. But yeah, I'd just say that was, yeah, just, regular life turmoils. And I mean, like, no one really, for me back in the day, I didn't really see anyone around me making a career out of lettering or calligraphy. So, most of the people were graffiti writers that I grew like was around that were interested in lettering. So they mostly just stayed on the streets or painting trains. So it didn't really seem like a full-time career at first, but like I said, just believing in oneself and, staying disciplined and true to what you want. Uh, that was the hardest part for me, probably.
I'm really curious. At that point, did you want to like learn calligraphy and use it for your life, or you wanted to create your own style? Because at that point, looking at your work, I mean, you use calligraphy, but you've developed something that's totally yours, and I mean, it's not the traditional stuff. So I'm
Yeah,
really curious. At that point, did you just want to be into calligraphy, or it's been into your head since the beginning that you want to be where you are right now?
I would say both. When learning graffiti, I was taught from a mentor that start with basics, master basics. Once you master basics, you can then move forward and start bending letters a little bit and, creating a more unique style with them. So I definitely, I like in graffiti, I wanted to use my strengths, moving forward. So I knew I had a strength of building letter structure.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are really good at effects or blending colors or the color theory. Mine personally was letter structure. I really liked that. So taking those lessons and then wanting to learn calligraphy, I just tried to apply them the same way. I wanted to master basics. So like I said, practicing scripts in the calligraphy Bible to me was mastering basics, learning strokes, how they form together and things like that. And then taking those basics and then applying them differently, have fun with them, free form a little bit. Once I felt, I had a couple years down on them and felt comfortable recreating the full scripts from memory, then that was kind of like, once I started doing it from memory, I just started, you know, uh, creating larger like creating the X height to be larger or something, playing with the width of the letter, just playing around, having fun with it. Because yeah, at the end of the day, I wanted to basically create a career out of letters. I knew that was the thing I loved most in life. So, however I could make that happen, I think I just wanted to, So, with calligraphy in general, it was like I knew what my end goal wanted to be, but knew that I needed to take baby steps to get there and master the craft a little bit better than just jumping into wild style things or whatever.
And how much time did it take for you to start feeling comfortable with what you're doing and to like your work, I guess? Because I know for sure me and even Tius One and people like which I love their work, like nobody's ever like really like 100% satisfied but with their work,
Yeah,
even though it's
yeah,
amazing. But of course there is a moment where you start seeing, okay, like my work starts looking better and better, So
yeah.
when was that point?
I'd say I felt comfortable with scripts. Not that they're the greatest, but I would say I felt comfortable, using the pen and building the scripts. The proportions might not have always been right, but around 3 years, I'd say, two
Okay.
to three. Um,
And you mean for like those 2 or 3 years, like you've been practicing a lot, like constantly, or
yeah, I'd say I I had a goal for a really long time, touch my pen to paper every day. That was I haven't been that good with it in the past year or two, but mostly because I'm swapped to like walls and things, but yeah, touching pen to paper every day was a big goal of mine. Because I mean, there's that thing where uh to master a craft you need to put in 10,000 hours, and I broke that down because some people say they've mastered crafts. I for sure haven't mastered calligraphy in any way yet. Like I'm on a whole journey, but 10,000 hours is a lot of hours. Like if you do 3 hours a day for a year, that's only 9,000 hours, right?
uh, like three
No, it's only 900
900.
hours.
So
Yeah,
it's
so that's what I'm saying. That's like 3 hours a day for 10 years. That's when you get to around 10,000 hours of your craft. So like I'm nowhere near that yet. You know what I mean? So I think like that's a goal. That's a goal, like a focus of mine is like try to master the craft.
but
I'm still learning.
I like because I by that point I've spoken with many calligraphers and some of them are like people who are like more than 20, 30, 40 years into the craft. And what I've learned, and I really believe by now, maybe it works with other crafts, but with calligraphy, I don't think there is a moment that you can say, okay, I've mastered calligraphy now.
Exactly.
I think it's something that you'll be learning and improving throughout all your life, and there won't be a point that you can say, okay, I've mastered it, because I don't know, like there is always still something to be improved and learned, and then
Yeah.
there's so many scripts and styles.
Exactly. Yeah. It might take me 20 years to like be close to mastering Gothic, say, but then there's copper plate, you know what I mean, pointed pen calligraphy, which I'm still learning. It's tough, you know. Uh
Are you learning pointed pen?
well, I've been I've once in a while I sprinkle it in throughout the years, but no, I'm not actually like proactively learning it. You know what I mean? But it is a script I do want to master one day. I'm hoping to take courses for that one though.
I've always admired it, but I I'm just admiring it. Like I have so many like straight pen holder, like pointed nibs and oblique holders, but I don't know. I like seeing it. I really would love to be able to do it, but at the same time, I feel it's like more like a feminine script.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
not that they're not guys that do it, and even like for example, Paul Antonio, he's like probably one of the best with copper plate, but
Oh, so good.
just me personally, I'm like you, man. Like I started because of like I loved fracture, like to Still,
Oh yeah.
fracture is one of my favorite styles, and just I don't know. I admire scripts like Copperplate, but I'm not even sure that ever I will put the work. I don't know.
I might be there with you, man. It's pretty elegant. It has its uses, no doubt. Um, but again, yeah, Fracture. That hits the heartstrings, a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just kind of have an addiction with wanting to learn. If I know there's something that I should learn and I don't know it yet, it's like it's gonna stay in the back of me until I, at least attempt it one day. So I'll probably attempt to learn copperplate and pointed pen calligraphy more, but for now I'm really enjoying flat brush calligraphy.
And okay, you said you've been with background in graffiti. You said you enjoy a lot murals, but is this your favorite medium to write on? Like, 'cause do you do canvases? Do you enjoy still doing work on paper, or you barely touch the paper nowadays?
Um, I'd say nowadays I don't touch the paper that much, to be honest. So I do. So I've been full time with calligraphy for about 3 years now, and that was full time through commissioned work, like logo design and things like that. So a lot of paperwork, scanning it, and then digitizing it for the client. So that I did a lot of paperwork then, but now I'm shifting more into a mural mind state. So I'm not really touching paper that much anymore, except to maybe practice like a lettering style that I want to introduce into the mural or something. Um, but yeah, I'd say canvas wise, I got this new studio. Like I said, I'm here now working on it. I got it in April, and it's my first studio space ever. It's been a big goal of mine, and the goal is to get into canvas work, more canvas work. But honestly, I haven't spent any time in it really since I got it because I've just been kind of busy with murals and stuff. So I'm hoping maybe this winter I can get some time in there and get some canvases going. But uh, I have a problem with canvases. They're too small for me. Like I want to use like when I start making double brushes, like you can 5 strokes can cover a canvas. So for me, I really like the big picture. Like I like having multiple areas of lettering. I like balanced ray symmetry, and like sometimes with a canvas, it's like I got to use a brush that's minuscule. I can't get the stroke texture looking for. Like there's challenges. So
But there are also huge canvases, man. Like,
yeah, that's true.
for example, I've been in some museums where like almost the whole wall is just one piece, and I'm like just looking to this, you think, how did the artist did this and how much time did it take? And but so my
For
point is,
sure.
there are huge canvases, but
Yeah, definitely. And I'm getting better with the whole process. I recently learned how to stretch canvas myself and do things like that, ship canvases and stuff. So I feel like though it's just tough. Like when it comes to like doing calligraphy on paper or on walls, I uh I don't have any inventory really.
mhm.
When I'm doing canvases, it's like I have 50 canvases in my room or studio, and I have to carry them when I move around and stuff. So I think because I've moved a lot. When I lived in Minnesota, I moved every year for about 5 6 years. So I think that really changed how I like approached things. I didn't like to keep a lot of items with me. That's why probably I like the Pilot Parallel pen so much too, because it's so small and compact, and I could bring it anywhere when I moved and things like that. So
Okay, you said like lately you're doing mostly murals. At what point did this thing start happening that you start having clients for murals, and how did this start happening? Did you search for clients or people started finding you somehow?
honestly, it was Instagram. So my first paid mural for calligraphy was in 2017. And wildly enough, it was for the Kinjas, which is they're an international dance team based in LA, and their videographer and like designer, and he works with the brand. He basically found me on Instagram and he contacted me, and they flew me out and I got to stay in LA. My first time visiting LA, and I got to stay there for 7 days, and got to hang with the team while I was there, they were shooting at Universal Studios for World of Dance, which is like it's a huge dance competition with $1 million prize pool. So it's super cool. Like while I'm painting there, the team would come back after shooting at Universal, and then they would like rehearse and talk about costume design for the next week's show and things like that. So that was honestly, I feel like I was extremely fortunate with them finding me, because I don't know, that gave me a lot of hope with, um, people need hope when they have big goals and things like that. And that really gave me a lot of hope. Like, okay, we could do this actually. So I think that was big on inspiring me. And then, uh, it just, yeah, it just kept me hungry for more. I was still not quite where I wanted to be with my style and everything. So I definitely took a step back after that, and kept trying to work on my pen game and get my lettering down. And again, I think the end all goal sometimes is to develop your own lettering style that other people respect and like. I feel like that's a solid goal for a calligrapher and someone who's into lettering. And if you can make a career off a letter structure style that you created, I feel like I don't know, that's a dream to me.
Of
But
course.
I'd say yes, when murals really started taking off, like basically every year since 2017, it snowballed slowly. So, I maybe got one that year, maybe two the next year, maybe three the next year. And then this year is really like I moved to Denver to be a full-time muralist. That's the goal. They have a way better scene out here. I've heard because of the legalization of weed, actually the government has this huge amount of tax dollars, and they have to give a percentage of that to public art. So they're like shelling out money for murals out here. Um, so it's like, I don't know. It was a no-brainer to me. I was ready to change location, so I came to Denver, and I've been here for 4 years now, and it takes some time to plant the seeds and water them, but now we're starting this year. Really, it's taken like picking up a lot with murals and paid mural work. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I have a few conversations in the works about international murals, so that'd be really cool if I could make that happen this year, or next year or whatever. But yeah, I'd say, I mean, I'm 7 or 8 years in now, and now it's finally starting to like reap some benefits. You know what I mean? So it's cool.
If you're not working on paper, does this mean you don't make any sketches for the murals? Like, what's the process with the murals, and how much time approximately takes one project? Of course, it depends on the size, but what's
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say so. Yeah, I'm not doing a lot of paperwork. When I get mural work, I use an iPad with Procreate to make a mural mock-up. So I'll have a meeting with the client. I'll go to their space. They'll show me which walls they're interested in. I'll take photos of those walls and then plug them into my iPad and make a mural mock-up via Procreate,
okay?
um, which is easier said than done, to be honest, because I'm sure, I don't know if you've ever tried lettering with an Apple Pencil on the iPad. It's
I've
not quite
tried,
the same.
I've
It's not.
tried, but like when I see people doing online, it looks really easy, but to me, it's just not so comfortable doing letter.
I don't like it at all. It's not the same way. Our wrists do so much movement with pens that an Apple Pencil can't. The Apple Pencil's so static. Like it's like if my wrist was just stuck, that's how it'd be. But like when I'm painting, like my wrist is doing so many movements, touching the corner of the pen, like but I basically it's a starting point, making a mock-up. It doesn't have to be great. It just has to give the client uh, more confidence in what you're trying to express to them. Because if a client's trying to pay a couple $1,000s for a mural, they want to have confidence in that purchase. So for me, mock-ups are just a quick way to give them confidence in that investment.
Okay, but does it mean that you just have like some pre-ready pictures of your work and you put them on the mock-up, or like?
Mm,
And also, I
I don't.
wanted to ask, is it like you do whatever you write, whatever you want on those murals, or clients have specific, like, let's say, I'm a client, come here, yo, dude, I have this wall, can you write in your style this text?
Yep. So I always try to work with the clients to make it happen. So I do a lot of circles. That's never my choice. You know what I mean? I because there's a lot of people doing circles. I want to move differently than that. You know what I'm just to stand out a little bit.
Why? What's
Um,
wrong with circles, man? Like,
I
for
love circles.
I
Love
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 circles
clear.
too, and you know what the thing? Like, yes, you're right. There are lots of people doing
Yeah.
circles, but there are very few people which stand out with their circles, and I think you're one of those people because
Thank you. I
it's
love
great.
that. Yeah, see, that was a goal of mine too. Like, I don't choose to do the circles, but if I have to do the circles, I'm gonna try to make it stand out, at least a little bit. But ideally, I'd like to move into more readability or like layouts, like paragraph layouts, or so like lines of script and things like that instead of geometric patterns. But again, I try to work with the client, and a lot of the times when I do one circle mural, the next client will see it and be like, "Oh, I want a circle mural just like that." So it's kind of like a little snowball where I keep getting stuck in these circle murals, but it's fun, I can't complain. Uh,
I
but yeah,
mean, if they're paying, what can you do about it?
yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly, and like I work with their color schemes, and when I'm writing, so like the lately in the past 6 months or so, I've been doing these circles and writing real words in them. And all the words I'm writing are all like usually core value words of the client. So if they're a tattoo studio, like I'll write their company name, obviously, and then I'll have them give me a list of like either if they have a phrase they like that ties to their company, or if they have words that embody their mind state as a company or whatever, then I'll throw those in, and it just makes it feel a little more unique for them, and plus it makes it easier for me. Like I'd much rather write real letters than like making up abstract ones. To me, that's harder than writing real letters.
Does this mean that before you've been doing those kind of abstract letters or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely dabbled in abstract letters and stuff, but it just whenever I do that, it never has the structure that I want. It just doesn't feel right for me. And so I do. Don't get me wrong, I do dabble in abstract strokes, but I usually try to keep that more as like a filigree type framework pattern more than abstract calligraphy letters, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I try to keep realistic, like real letters for other things. But again, it's a whole journey. We're all learning and figuring it out as we go. I'm just trying to use all my knowledge to blend it in a way that's unique and defines me as an artist and makes my client happy,
Yeah.
essentially.
What are the struggles that you've had with the murals? Because I'm also like a fan of murals. I do myself, and sometimes, some walls are not that easy to work on, depending of structure and pattern and whatever. I don't know how it's called.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would say texture of wall is a huge issue a lot of the times with murals. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like I've never gotten a flat wall. It's always like stucco, or it's like there's some type of texture on it that just makes it difficult. Like I never just get a flat, nice wall. I mean, I have
Really?
probably, but it's rare. It's definitely rare. Because I mean, I'm doing mostly outside murals, so
Okay.
it's like weather's beating on. We got winter and everything, so things aren't as flat as they could be. Um, but it is nice, like especially brick walls too. Brick walls are hard. I have a little trick up my sleeve though. If I ever do get a paid client, you can use the what are those? The Graco like spray. Um, what are those? They're like you hook them up to a generator and you spray. They're like chisel tip. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it'll work great for brick. That's all I know. You can do
Okay.
calligraphy on brick, then I'm hoping.
And
But yeah, that's a struggle. I'd say another struggle is figuring out how to take your design, the idea that you have, and then blow that up large scale and make the proportions work for the wall you're working on. That is a craft in of its own to learn. And for me, the best thing I've learned for that is like, okay, so some people use projectors to paint a mural. Some
Mhm.
people will use a grid pattern. Some people use a doodle grid. Those are all common ways to paint large scale murals, to blow up a design and paint it large. But for me, I really like, maybe it's because I've done so many guidelines on paper or whatever, but I really like getting to my space, the wall, and then kind of vibing it out, seeing, there's always some type of blemish on a wall, like an electrical box or a hole in the wall or an outlet, or there's always something that you're not quite prepared for. And so I like to take all that in when I get to the space and then figure out how to best make the composition with the wall in front of me. So I like to measure everything. I find the center of the wall. I set up my guidelines for everything, things like that, which to me, that works the best with my process. I don't think I could, I mean, I couldn't project a mural mock-up on a wall and then like copy the exact calligraphy like that wouldn't be fun for me as much. I like to free flow,
Yeah.
and,
And
and paint. But
how do you feel about preparation of the woman? Because sometimes I don't know, like I feel like so annoyed. Like sometimes the preparation takes me longer than just making the letters. Sometimes I spend some hours just making guidelines, and at some point I'm so annoyed. I'm like, come on, I want to do the letters.
yep, yep. That it's tough. Like I definitely usually how I set up my so you had asked earlier how long is a usual mural project. I like to, and again every wall is different. I like to give 7 days.
Wow.
That's kind of my that's like how I kind of like to estimate a project, just because things happen. I usually like to do the first day. Usually I have to buff the wall. So I mean, buffing the wall takes some time, especially if it's interior, how big it is, whatever. So I do that the first day. If I finish that early, I like to do guidelines that day too, or
Hmm.
try to. Otherwise, next day is all guidelines. And then after that, once that's all done, then it's just pure painting after that. And then that's kind of just grind mode for 5 days, maybe. It depends.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm slow with it. Like, I don't know how fast other people move, but um, sometimes I feel like I'm a little slow. Like, on my recent circular murals, like the the skate bowl that I painted recently and whatever. The
Like
lettering
this
yeah, there
one?
we go. Yep. So like that style of lettering, every letter on average has 20 strokes.
Okay.
So that takes a lot of time, honestly. So I feel like I move kind of slow, but I mean, I did that whole one in 4 days. So that one went pretty quick. But uh yeah, I don't know. I just like giving like, a 7-day time frame is usually my go-to for a mural if I can work on it straight through without any breaks. But
Now that you say that, I'm just thinking, am I doing something wrong? Because I never done something for more than 2 days. And if I think about Pokras, I guess he also takes some time to make the stuff. And
yeah, good work takes time.
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it depends the size of, the scope of the design and the size of the project and things like that. Like, I just recently painted somewhere and it took 1 day to buff and then 2 days to paint. So it all depends.
What are there some special paints that you're using?
No, so I use latex acrylic paint,
Okay.
which is like house paint.
Mhm.
Um, and I try to avoid oil at all costs because it is a nightmare to clean brushes at a mural site if you have to use paint thinner and things like that. So I try to just keep everything water based. I can clean my brush super easily, and it's super cheap. You can get a gallon. I mean, like some of those murals you're looking at right there, they're probably all done with the same gallon of white paint for $15.
Okay.
So it's a super cheap investment, and you can use it for a long time. Last nice, last a long time. So, um, but the gold I use is a special paint. That's called
Wait,
Montana Liquid.
this one? Wait.
So that's actually one of my digital mock-ups. Yeah,
Yeah.
that gold. Um, yeah, that's oil based. But yeah, so that's a digital mock-up. I didn't procreate those letters. I wrote those letters on paper. So I basically have two ways I do mock-ups. I will write with the Apple Pencil, um, sometimes, or I have these vectored letters, and it's two words, ambition and vision.
Yeah.
And I have it in gold, and I have it in white, and I have it in black, all digitized, and I'll just plug it into the mock-up and then cut out what I need, flip, rotate, whatever to make it look like, there's other letters and stuff in there, but it's basically just placeholder script to kind of show the vibe of the mural I would like the layout to be. So, like for this one specifically, it says ambition and vision repeated, flipped around, but if a client liked this, I could replace any of those letters and words with anything they want written.
Yeah. I
So,
see.
so it's just a way to, I don't know, get an idea across quickly.
Huh. Wait, wait. So this is also like this is like the vectorized that you've been talking about?
Yep, exactly. So I'll write it on paper, scan it, plug it into Adobe Illustrator, vector it, and then yeah, that's how I create. That's actually, I think that's a tattoo design. And if you back out and go to my page and scroll up slightly, I think the dude has the
Oh,
yeah, on the knee right there. So
yes.
I didn't do the tattoo, but I made the design
Yeah.
and sent it over.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a majority of my work, or has been, is the digital stuff.
Man, I don't know. I just think like the style you developed is so cool, man. Like those details and everything is just super cool, man. Like when I
Thank
look
you.
at this, like, cause man, I'm like almost 9 years with calligraphy masters. I've seen so many artists and stuff, and of course there are a lot of great artists, but there's a lot of people who do circus or anything, and yeah, maybe the whole picture looks nice, but when you look into the letters themselves, it's like, meh.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even myself, I'm like still not satisfied with my letters when you look like close, but this, man, this is just, it's such a beauty, man.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, a lot of these ones were tough because like in that upper right corner right now, yeah, that one, like all the lower half of that lettering is all upside down. Um, so like that takes some time and some thought process for sure. Like doing these murals has legitimately turned into just geometry for me. It's because I don't bend my neck over and like lean my body over to write the letter like how I would normally write it, if that makes sense. I keep my shape and write the letter completely upside down or sideways. And because it's all geometry based on like I do all my parallel pen lettering. I do all of it on grid paper, so I know like the letters I'm creating. I know the proportions based on my nib of my Pilot parallel pen.
Yeah.
And then once I go to brush on a mural, even if I have a much larger brush, it's the same proportions as it was on the grid paper on the Pilot parallel pen. So
In that
that's
case, are there any
yeah.
specific brushes that you use, like a brand or something, or it doesn't really matter for you?
It I think it definitely matters, but um the brand I use, I don't we have a company called Michaels out here and it's like just an art store. It's like a chain throughout the country. It's really basic. I'm sure you have something similar where you're from, but they have their own brand of things they sell for, it's like the cheap brand. So I get this 3 pack of brushes for $5. And
Whoa.
then the 3 pack is 3 different brush sizes. And so I use those proportions for most of my murals if I'm doing 3 different stroke sizes. But what's cool about it is I don't know if you saw that video I posted on how I make a double brush. If I'm
That
at a mural,
Instagram?
it's in my Instagram reels. So these are the brushes that I use, and so like if you have a 3 pack of brushes that are 3 different sizes, and once you start doing this to them, you then have a $5 pack of brushes that you can get like 6 brush sizes out of, if that makes sense.
Wait, I'm just confused because those look like really they look like a cheap brushes, and um um I'm surprised that you achieved those like thin lines and those details with like what?
Yeah, so I guess yeah, those brushes, those have been used probably on like 3 or 4 murals prior to this. But once you stick it in the paint, the chisel tip becomes much cleaner.
Okay.
If that makes sense. The bristles stick together and whatnot. But yeah, I do use really cheap brushes. I like it because I don't know. A lot of mural sites you can't. I don't know. You don't have access to water to wash your brush all the time. You
Mm-hmm.
might be in the sun for 10 hours, and if your brush is sitting in sun for 10 hours, like the paint just cakes on. Um, so I like to be able to feel like if I need to, this brush can be thrown away with no issue, and I can just pick up another brush for a couple bucks. Because, like, I don't know if you've ever used those Liquitex brushes that are like 8 inches
Liquitex?
wide.
No, not those. I've seen them. I have something sim. No, maybe I have Liquitex. I'm not sure. I have.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
They're
those
like,
like this, something like this.
yeah, they even have ones that are like 8 inches wide and stuff, but those are like 70, $80 sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen ones that are like 140 for a single brush, and I'm just no issue if you use it. For me personally, I don't have the money to be using that and then ruin it on accident or something. Like if I couldn't wash it in time and it gets ruined, I'd feel terrible for. losing $140 or something. So for me, I just personally like to use cheap things. It's just easier for me to use, and I feel better about it.
Of course, if you can, this is the best, man. Why you don't need to spend money on, like, of course, if you can have some good quality, it's always good to use. But if you can work with cheap stuff, I mean, I use a ton of cheap stuff. Why not? But are you
Yeah.
using again latex here for the car? I'm really cool.
So this one, I had to use oil because, and I'm so glad he told me this. Um, the Either I think it's the clear coat on it. Either the paint or the clear coat on the car already is oil based.
Okay.
So if I used acrylic latex water based, it wouldn't have stuck.
Uh-huh.
So for this one specifically, I had to use oil based, so that the paint stayed. But ideally, I like to avoid it.
Because on the cars, I just do it with markers, and then when I'm finished, I just do a coat of varnish.
Yeah,
But because you said you use only latex, I was really wondering if you use that on a car again.
but do you use Molotov ink with the markers,
I've used, but I'm not like sticking to a Molotov. I like.
or like Montana ink or
I
something?
have Montana. I buy on the run, whatever there is on the shop, actually. But
Yeah.
often it's mostly like Montana and on the run.
Okay. Yeah. See, aren't those water based too?
Some of them are, but
Okay.
they're also alcohol based. So
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Yes. So I don't if the marker worked with water based on the car, that'd be cool. I don't know how it works, honestly. And your car that you might have done it on could have been vinyl wrapped as well, which then you could use latex on.
okay. Huh.
Which is actually for anyone listening, if somebody does want you to paint their car, I highly suggest having them vinyl wrap their car and then painting the vinyl wrap.
This is gonna be super cool and easy, but I don't know. Like, how many cars have you done actually? Is it just
That's the only car I've done.
okay?
And
Because
that was not vinyl wrapped, but I wished it was.
no, yeah, I never done a wrapped. I've done a couple of cars, and man, the last project I got so stressed because the car is like very nice color and shiny and everything, and then I did what I did, and the spray was supposed to be glossy, and I sprayed, and it was super bad, some
Oh
matte,
no.
and I was like stressed out because it's not my car. It
Yep.
was for a dude, but fortunately I found a way around it. I just got a couple of sprays of glossy varnish and I fixed it, but it really stressed
Nice.
me, man. It really stressed me. So
Yeah. Cars are nerve wracking. I was nervous with that car. Luckily that car wasn't a new car or anything. But like if you had to paint a Lambo or something,
man, like pokers,
yeah, I'm like, dude, that's scary, man.
I've been thinking about this Lambo that he did, and it looks super. It looks amazing, but
Oh,
I've
it's gorgeous.
so many times, dude. How did he do? He did it like it's crazy.
Dude, that time was iconic for him for sure. Like when he painted that was a cool time.
Yeah, for me personally, I was celebrating, man. I was celebrating like it's my own car. If I did it, but I don't know. It for me, I celebrated because it was kind of a win for the community of.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not exactly I don't know even where do I put people like me and you, man, because we use calligraphy, but it's not exactly also calligraphy. It's some
exactly.
it's a mix of modern way of using calligraphy mixed with mural. I don't know. I really don't know what to call it, but
Me neither, dude. Same with music. It's like things are branching in so many different directions. I don't even know what genres are anymore, you know?
yeah.
It's the same with calligraphy. Um, that's it. I'm hoping one day we can get calligraphy because I see calligraphy being I mean it is huge, you know what I mean? It to me it feels like it's as large as some of these other art forms like music or
Nah.
acting or something. Maybe it's not, but to
You
me,
know,
I see it.
it's not that big, but one thing I can say, it's much bigger than 9 years ago when I, for example,
Yeah,
I started calligraphy masters, because I remember there was almost nothing, or at least we could not find much. Our days, I'm happy where calligraphy is and where it's heading, but yeah.
definitely. I guess I just see like there's so many letters in the world, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Eventually, maybe it's 50 years from now, but people are going to need ways to stand out with their branding, and hand lettering is going to be the go-to.
I
Like,
don't
because
know, man. You know,
fonts can only do so much.
there is AI coming, man. And I play around with it. It's still bad. Like, it does not do calligraphy, but I'm sure it's gonna learn. And
Oh, it's going to be so good once it figures it out. I know. Yeah.
I don't know. I've played around. It really doesn't give me what, like, because you just you put a prompt and it does some stuff. I don't know if you're familiar how it works.
I've never done it, but I can understand, I think.
Yeah, you give it a prompt, just some words, and it spits out a picture. That's how it basically works. Easiest to explain, but yeah, I've
Yeah,
tried so many different prompts, and uh, it's still not there. But it's a bit scary, man, because like AI could, like, of course, can kill a lot of jobs, but also it can kill a lot of artists. And
oh yeah, I've seen some of that AI generated art. It's pretty sweet, to be honest.
I,
Like,
it
it's
it does it
cool.
it does it in a minute or two, man. This is the crazy
Mhm.
stuff, because. But for me personally, I think we as an artist can use it for our benefit. For example, you can get a lot of ideas from it, and it can save you time. But yeah,
For sure.
AI, if you're listening, just don't mess around with calligraphy.
Yeah, keep it out of our craft. Hey, but AI might never be able to do it on a wall, so at least it'll take longer, I think.
Hopefully, man. Like, hopefully.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't mess around with what we do, at least
Hmm.
until we're alive.
Right, right, yeah.
No, this sounded not good, but yeah, whatever. So what are the plans, man? Like, are there any goals? Like, okay, you want to do murals, but is there something specific? Like, you want to do a building, or I don't know, a airplane, or
Oh, yeah, I want to get my hands on anything I can, surface wise, for sure. A boat would be cool. A jet ski, I guess, would be cool. Cars, planes. Really, I'm just trying to. I know there's no like point where you're like, okay, I made it to like the style I want. I've been like, I feel like there's a style in my head where I've had it in my head for about 7 years since I started calligraphy, and I'm like just waiting to like hit that vibrational point where I reached it, but it's gonna take so many years, you know what I mean? But like basically I want to reach that point. That's my goal, is like reach that vibration I've been searching for, like with my style. It's hard, I don't know. It's hard
yeah,
to describe.
I understand. I'm just confused because I thought that you already reached it, but obviously not.
No, definitely not. Is it just one step on the journey?
And it's funny to hear that you had this, like, you had it in your head for 7 years. This, like, for example, when I watched the video of Tios one, yes, I wanted to have my own style, but I never had in my head a vision of, like, what exactly this needs to look
It,
like.
it's like it's like I know the feeling I want to feel when I look at it. So when I say vibration, I'm like I'm waiting until I finish a project and look at it and feel that vibration, that feeling inside of me. Then I'll know I'm like hit the point I've been envisioning, kind of. But I don't have like I can't see in my head exactly what that style looks like, but I know the feeling it'll give me, if
I
that
get it
makes sense.
now. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, my vibe, when I look to my work, I want to feel like the same as when I look to work of Pokras, the work of Zephyr and Cryptic, man. Like,
Yep.
Those
It,
three,
it
those three artists for me are they're gods, man. Seriously.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, art is just like music, it's just a visual vibration. It makes us feel certain things the way it vibrates. And so, like, people know what a good artist is when they look at them because the way the wall vibrates at you is like you can feel the passion, you can feel the craft, the skill that you put in, the years, like all of that can be felt, in my opinion, through a visual artist. It's the
No, it's
same way if you see a visual artist and like, and it doesn't react to, like, if you don't react to a piece of art, maybe you're not feeling their vibration isn't, you know, resonating with you. But I like to view it as vibration, like visual art.
no, this is true. I just never thought about it this way. And man, this is one of the things I love about this podcast because sometimes, like this now, you just say something that it's so simple. I just never thought about it this way. But yeah,
I
now if I
love
think
that.
you're like the mindful, yeah, like that makes sense that you look at it in this way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely did a lot of studying on Zen calligraphy, like how the Japanese approach writing.
Mm-hmm.
Just their whole mindset of art in general is just incredible. There's a lot of just like breathing techniques, philosophies about. One of my favorite things I read was a lot of Japanese calligraphers like to finish the project in one sitting. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but this is just something I read. But it's the belief with Zen calligraphy, at least, the belief is when you're creating, you're in a mind state of that moment. So the stress you felt waking up, the how good of a night's rest you got, the food you ate that day, you know, if you were fighting with your significant other or whatever, all of that contributes to the feeling, the moment you're creating. It's all in that moment. And then the next day, there's going to be a whole different assortment of feelings and moments um, inspiring your work. So their belief is finish each piece of work in one day because it reflects the feeling you had in that moment.
Okay.
So it's very hard to do that. Like I said, I have murals that take 7 days or whatever. So, but I like to do things like I like to keep it in mind in the back of my head. Like that's why I separate. Like if I'm gonna buff the wall, I do that in one day, or I'll do guidelines that day as well. I like to finish each step that day. So the after I finish guidelines and buffing, my next step is I'll do all the calligraphy in the large brush that day. And I have to finish it that day so that all the letters are the same vibe uh, because I'm in that certain mindset that day. And then the next day I'll do the medium sized brush, all the lettering with the medium sized brush. So like I like to keep it categorized that way just to, I don't know, not influence my lettering with other factors, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, totally. It's like this so man. I want. I'm trying not to curse on the podcast because I used to curse a lot. But this is so cool, man. This is so freaking cool. And you know, I have a table in my other room where I did in calligraphy, but I'm not happy with it. And now, after what you said, I don't know. Tomorrow I'm busy, but one of those days, I'm gonna spend the day and try to use what you said to make the table better looking.
I love that, dude. Yeah, I swear 90% of this whole thing is mindset, really. Like, I've been in situations of a bad mindset and it's detrimental to everything I do in life. But having a good mindset really, I don't know. One, it just makes life more enjoyable, I'm finding. And two, it really keeps me focused on my goals and making sure I'm respecting myself while I, you know, try to complete these goals and things like that.
And was this about the Japanese stuff? Was it an article or a book?
It was a book, if not multiple, and it also was online studies. but I believe the book someone gifted me was called Zen Calligraphy. Yeah, yeah.
Never.
Um, super interesting stuff. Even just, have you ever heard of an ENSO? ENSO?
No.
It's like a Zen
Oh,
calligraphy. The
this.
circle, yeah, right there. Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. So okay, I can't believe I didn't even see that. Yeah, so the thought process behind that is an incredible thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous with gold too. I love
Yeah.
that. Who made that?
Paul Antonio.
Oh, dude, I thought I saw that. All right, I love it.
I did a workshop with him when I visited him in London, and man, the whole process, I was so stressed because I just wanted to make it, and he was like, chew out, you have to breathe, you have to pay
Yep.
respect to the brush, and
Yep.
well, I'm different kind of person. I'm not that. I learned to be patient, but this was something I just wanted to make a circle, and the
Hmm.
whole process before I even was allowed to do the circle stressed me so much.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it really is a discipline, just like martial arts. Like, your breathing and your thoughts really go into the whole practice. Like I was saying, what I really love about the thought process behind the ENSO is that it's the one breath stroke, and you have to basically embody your entire being in that stroke in that moment. You don't get to fix it. You don't get to, it's just that stroke embodies you in that moment. I think that's so beautiful. Like, I love that.
yeah,
But
man,
anyways, I try to basically take some of those thought processes into my own work with my own lettering, because I do find it to be a very mindful practice overall.
this is super cool, man. Okay, and are there artists that are inspiring you? And I don't mean in a way that you want to be like him or copying him. It could be also not a calligrapher, just the
Yeah.
artists that you follow that you know you admire their work and maybe yeah inspire because a lot of people they use inspiring very like some people copy and say okay this is inspired like
Right, right.
for example in calligraphy I think we can be inspired to do our calligraphy from everything else but from other calligraphers.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think one of the it's hard to be following calligraphers that already have a set style for me, because when I was learning, it felt like they were influencing the direction I was going in, subconsciously and consciously.
Mm-hmm.
So for a while, I was trying to not follow the people that I really looked up to in calligraphy, so that I wouldn't get their influence on what I was learning, which is tough because obviously I want to support them, but I also don't want to be copying them or anything. So um, yeah, it's just a balance. I don't know, but people that really inspire me now, artists. You've ever heard of Daniel Arsham?
No.
He is I mean, a multidisciplinary artist, I guess. He does a lot of sculpture work, and he does paintings too, but I highly recommend looking him up. Uh, Basically, Pokemon, he has a partnership with Pokemon, and he can build sculptures of like he basically, his style is basically a sculpture, and then there will be parts cut out of it that have crystals in those parts. So what he'll do, cars sometimes, or like Gengar, Pikachu, or Mew, or just I don't know. Just he's doing really cool things with statues. He partnered with Pokemon for these statues, and then they actually put him into the Pokemon TV show. He was his own trainer. He had his own. He got to choose which Pokemon he wanted in his battle, and Ash Ketchum and Pikachu run through this forest of his statues. It's like, to me, that's like
Man.
like next level, man. Like if you're an artist and you get to be in a the Pokemon TV show, like that's huge to me. I don't know. And I just don't see many sculpturists like doing things like that. And I don't really follow that many sculpturists, so I guess I don't really know, but he inspires me a lot. Just the way he approaches his work, the way he drops the items that he's selling, the packaging he does around his items. Like when he sells a sculpture, he provides a pair of gloves, linen gloves in the box so you can pick up like to me that's like such a small detail but incredible. You know what I mean? So you don't put fingerprints on the sculpture that you just bought. Like that's so cool to me.
Dude, you gotta send me his Instagram. I want to check it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely send you his stuff. Other other artists that really inspire me, Zoo Scoutmace and they're two graffiti writers from LA, I believe LA, and they created kind of like a mural company, those two, and they're doing incredible work like around the world, Israel, uh, states in the US, I don't even know, Europe probably as well, but they're just doing incredible things. Zoo was actually um, like I said, I moved to Denver 4 years ago to be a full-time muralist. Zoo came in town for a mural festival to paint there, and we had talked on the internet before, but never met. And I hadn't painted a mural in Denver yet. I didn't have connections or anything, and I went and visited him after work at his mural, and he introduced me to the people at the mural festival, and I got to paint next day. And that was my first introduction to any muralists in Denver. And like, I would say it really opened up the door for me here to get some work out. And I'm super grateful to him. And like, I can ask him questions and stuff. So he's been a good friend, mentor in the background, I'd say, I guess. But they're just doing incredible work. Like, skyscrapers and things like that, massive projects like with cities and stuff. So to me, that's just incredibly inspiring, to see a graffiti writer or a criminal like created a full-time super successful career off the skills they learned. That to me, that's just a dream, you know what I mean? So I really like them. Amuse 126, he um, also inspires me a lot. He's a graffiti writer based out of Chicago. Been doing it for many years. Recently got a chance to meet him, and he actually has a mural in the studio right in front of me. But again, he's doing things for like the Chicago Cubs, which is the professional baseball team out there. He threw the first pitch at one of the games. Like again, being a criminal and then you're throwing pitches at baseball games based off your work, like that's just incredible to me that we've gotten to this point where graffiti artists can like make a full-time career and break boundaries. And I don't know, I just really like people that are pushing the envelope.
Of course. Where do you see yourself, or where do you want to see yourself in like 5 years?
Oof. Ideally, my dream life scenario for work at least is I want to be a full-time muralist where I travel the world and, do maybe a month in a country and paint a mural out there and maybe do like one commission job while I'm out there online. And I don't know, I got a lot of goals, but I basically want to travel the world and paint. That's basically, I want to see as much as I can see before I pass, and I want to I don't know, create a lifelong, like I want my work to last longer than me, and I hope it creates a legacy for me after I pass. Um because we're all gonna be gone one day, and even the paint that I lay is gonna be gone. But I hope once I pass, there's something of me that's still hanging on for a little bit. I don't know. I just want to leave a legacy. Make sure that I'm doing good in the world, and I don't know, representing myself and hopefully inspiring other people and something
Okay.
like that.
We'll do another. Maybe we'll do before that, but for sure in 5 years we'll do a podcast to see if you are
Yes.
to be man.
All right. If I'm not an international muralist by then I don't know what, but I'm gonna be. I promise you
I'm sure you
that.
will be, bro. I'm sure. Okay, bro. Is there something that I didn't ask you, but you wanted to speak or to share with people?
um, I Not off the top of my head, but honestly, I just really want to say thank you for everything that you do. Again, there's not a ton of resources for calligraphy, and I feel like the community you're building and the things you do are like incredibly important for the culture, especially in this day and age. So yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of Calligraphy Masters. Like I said, I still got to get you those videos for Calligraphy Masters. I'm planning on doing something pretty fun with my studio for those videos. I'm just trying to knock out the time, but I'm looking forward to sending those to you. And yeah, I'm just incredibly grateful to be part of Calligraphy Masters, and for being on this podcast and for having people I can, talk to and ask questions, and just the community I can be with calligraphy. So just thank you for everything that you do.
It's nothing, bro. And last, just to finish, like if there is something you want to say to people which listen or people that want to do the same stuff you're doing, or if give them some advice or anything, just
Yeah, dude, I would say believe in yourself. Like, it doesn't matter what craft you're doing, no one's gonna be able to see your vision except you. You're gonna get a ton of people telling you it's not possible, that you should go for a different route. But if it's something that's deep in your heart, like, go get it, man. We're here for like 80 years on this planet. Like, do you really want to not attempt to go for the thing that makes your heart sing? Like, go for it. Just, I don't know. I just find the there's just such a like incredible feeling to go after what you're dreaming for and to actually make it happen. And I think it's so rewarding of a feeling. And I think if it, yeah, just go for it, man. Put your best foot forward and make it happen. I think everyone, if I can do it, everyone can do it. You know what I mean? Like it's possible for everybody. So um, I just really think, yeah, just go for it, man.
awesome, man. I think this is
Yeah.
great ending of the episode. Thank you, bro, for being guest on the podcast and sharing your story. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening, and as always, keep writing.
Yo, thank you.